All right, so let's dive into something I think a lot of you are going to find interesting. The Netflix show Wednesday, but we're not just going to, rehash the plot or anything like that. We're taking a deep dive into this YouTube review by Friendly Space Ninja. Have you seen this one?
Oh, yeah, I have. It's a really interesting take.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me is that it goes way beyond just like a thumbs up or thumbs down, like a typical review.
Yeah, it is. The reviewer goes on this whole journey. They talk about their changing opinion of Tim Burton over time. They compare Wednesday to Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and even talk about like their love for the later seasons of The Big Bang Theory, which is kind of a curveball.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. So we've got a lot to unpack here. I think we can talk about what makes a good adaptation, how nostalgia influences our views, and of course dive into how shows handle character development, all through the lens of this one video.
Yeah, sounds good. So it all starts with the reviewer's initial skepticism. They say right off the bat that they weren't a huge Addams Family fan growing up. And they also had some reservations about Tim Burton's more recent work.
Right, which makes their enjoyment of the show all the more surprising. They even called out some of Burton's films, like I think they specifically mentioned Alice in Wonderland as kind of being a miss for them.
Yeah, and that's where it gets interesting, Their expectations were completely flipped by the pilot episode. And they highlight Jenna Ortega's performance as Wednesday as being like a major reason why.
Yeah, they were really impressed. I think they even used the word unbelievable to describe her portrayal. So what is it about Ortega's Wednesday that's so captivating? I mean, the reviewer loved her dialogue, that classic Addams Family dry wit, but they also noted how the show gives her some real depth.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the reviewer was picking up on how Wednesday's character arc kind of subverts expectations. She's this macabre, competent teenager, but the show doesn't shy away from her vulnerabilities, like her struggles to connect with other people or those moments of self-doubt. Those are the things that make her relatable and fascinating, not just a spooky caricature.
Yeah, totally. I found myself thinking about her character long after I finished the show. And it wasn't just Wednesday that resonated with the reviewer. They were surprisingly attached to Thing.
Oh, yeah. It just goes to show the power of well-written supporting characters. Thing isn't just a gimmick. The show gives him personality, even a sense of humor. And when he's injured, like the reviewer felt that genuine tension. Remember that scene with Uncle Fester frantically trying to revive him? It was unexpectedly emotional.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, now for a hot take. The reviewer claims that Wednesday is what Chilling Adventures of Sabrina should have been. Strong words.
Yeah, that's a bold statement. What they're implying is that Sabrina, despite its premise, didn't quite hit the mark for them. And I think this brings up a larger discussion about adapting existing material. How do you balance staying true to the source material while also bringing something fresh and original to the table?
Yeah, you gotta walk that tightrope carefully. They even call out Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, who created Sabrina. They suggest that his shows often have writing and showrunning issues, so it seems like they have some strong feelings about what works and what doesn't in an adaptation.
Right, and those strong opinions are what make this deep dive so compelling. It's more than just a plot summary. It's a conversation about the choices made.
Yeah.
The expectations we bring as viewers, and ultimately what resonates with us on a personal level.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, even with all the praise, Wednesday wasn't perfect. The reviewer did have some issues with the finale, particularly with how certain plot points were resolved.
Okay, so is this just nitpicking, or are there legitimate writing flaws? I think it raises a question that a lot of us grapple with. How much can a weak ending sour an otherwise enjoyable experience?
That's a good question. They specifically call out the introduction of like convenient lore as a major problem. For example, Wednesday's necklace is suddenly revealed as this magical talisman that can heal her from a fatal stab wound.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that kind of last-minute plot device can feel really unearned, especially in a show that was so meticulously building its supernatural world. It's like the writers wrote themselves into a corner and just took a shortcut out.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And they also weren't thrilled with Tyler as a romantic interest for Wednesday, calling him kind of boring. The reviewer also felt that the main villain, Joseph Crackstone, had inconsistent motivations and powers, which muddled the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, that's a common pitfall, I think, in supernatural stories. You can have these fantastical elements,
yeah,
but they need clear, consistent rules. Otherwise, it undermines the tension and creates those plot holes that the reviewer pointed out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've got a show that's clearly doing a lot right, but maybe stumbles a bit in the landing. What I find really interesting is that this is still a reviewer who started out with pretty low expectations. The fact that they ended up enjoying Wednesday overall says something about the show's ability to win over even those skeptical viewers, right?
Right, it does. And it speaks to the power of adaptation done right. This wasn't just a rehash of the old Addams Family formula. The reviewer felt like Wednesday successfully brought the franchise into the modern world while keeping its core spirit intact.
That's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah, it is. It's that balance of honoring the source material while also bringing something fresh and relevant to a new generation. And I think the reviewer's reaction suggests that Wednesday struck that balance pretty well. They even mentioned wanting to revisit the older movies and shows now. now, which I think is a testament to the show's ability to spark a renewed interest in the franchise.
I love that. Speaking of revisiting things, we have to circle back to that unexpected Big Bang Theory confession. The reviewer admitted to initially hating the show, but then finding the later seasons genuinely enjoyable. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a fascinating example of how opinions can evolve. And sometimes it's not just us who change, it's the shows themselves. The Big Bang Theory is a great case study in a show that kind of course-corrected, responded to criticism, and matured alongside its audience.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The reviewer even pointed to specific examples, like how Howard, who starts off as this kind of cringeworthy character, becomes more likable and relatable as the show progresses. They felt like the writers gave him more depth and allowed him to grow.
That's the power of character development done well. When we see those nuanced layers and transformations, even initially unlikable characters can win us over. And it sounds like the Big Bang Theory managed to pull that off, at least in the eyes of this reviewer.
It's interesting. They also noted that the show became more self-aware in later seasons, acknowledging and even poking fun at some of the criticisms leveled against it earlier on.
Oh, that's smart. That self-awareness can be key, especially for shows that rely on humor that can sometimes be perceived as edgy or insensitive. By acknowledging its potential flaws, the show kind of invites the audience to laugh with it, not at it. And it sounds like that shift in tone really resonated with the reviewer.
Makes you wonder how many other shows we've dismissed too quickly. Maybe there are hidden gems waiting to be discovered if we're open to giving them another chance, like the reviewer did with the Big Bang Theory.
Exactly. And it ties back to that idea of being open to surprises, challenging our assumption. The reviewer's journey with both Wednesday and the Big Bang Theory reminds us that our tastes and opinions aren't set in stone. They can evolve as we experience new things and gain new perspectives.
It's almost like saying that our relationship with a show can be a journey, just like our relationship with anything else in life. Sometimes it takes time to find the good stuff, the hidden depths, the unexpected delights.
I like that analogy.
It's interesting how the reviewer's journey with Wednesday kind of mirrors the character's own arc in the show. Both start off resistant to connection, clinging to their preconceived notions, but through those unexpected encounters and experiences, they begin to open up and evolve.
That's a fantastic parallel. It highlights how we're often drawn to stories that reflect our own personal journeys, even if we don't consciously realize it.
Yeah, totally. It reminds us that stories can resonate with us on so many levels. We might initially watch for entertainment, but the ones that truly stay with us are the ones that make us think, feel, and maybe even challenge our own perspectives.
I think that's a great point. The reviewer's evolving opinions on both Wednesday and the Big Bang Theory showcase the importance of giving things a chance and allowing ourselves to be surprised. Sometimes those surprises lead to unexpected enjoyment and a broadening of our horizons.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the world of entertainment, like the world in general, is full of surprises waiting to be discovered. All we have to do is stay curious and open-minded.
Exactly. So this deep dive has explored adaptation, character development, and even the evolution of taste, all through the lens of this one insightful YouTube review.
And at the heart of it all is that idea of embracing the unexpected. Who knows what hidden gems are out there waiting for us to discover? Maybe we'll find our next favorite show or movie where we least expect it.
You never know. So keep exploring. Keep challenging your assumptions. And most importantly, keep an open mind. You never know what you might find. I mean, despite those flaws, though, you got to remember this is a reviewer who started out with like pretty low expectations. The fact that they ended up really enjoying Wednesday overall, it says something about the show's ability to win over even skeptical viewers.
Yeah, that's true. And it speaks to the power of like adaptation done right. This wasn't just like a rehash of the old Addams Family formula. The reviewer felt like Wednesday successfully brought the franchise into the modern world while still keeping that core spirit intact.
It's tough. It's that balance of honoring the source material, but also, bringing something fresh and relevant to a new generation. And I think the reviewer's reaction shows that Wednesday found that balance. They even mentioned wanting to go back and watch the older movies and shows now, which I think really shows how the show sparked a new interest in the whole franchise.
I love that. Okay, so speaking of revisiting things, we have to talk about that Big Bang Theory confession. The reviewer admitted to like hating the show at first, but then said they actually found the later seasons enjoyable. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's so interesting. It's a perfect example of how opinions can evolve. And sometimes it's not even us who change. It's the shows themselves. The Big Bang Theory is a great example of a show that course corrected, like they responded to criticisms. And the show actually matured alongside its audience.
Yeah, I see that. They even gave some specific examples, like how Howard, who starts off as this kind of cringy character, becomes more likable and relatable over time. The reviewer felt like the writers gave him more depth and allowed him to actually grow as a person.
Yeah, and that's character development done right. When we see those nuanced changes and transformations, even characters we might not like at first can totally win us over.
Yeah.
And it seems like The Big Bang Theory did that, at least for this reviewer.
Yeah. They also said that the show became more self-aware as it went on. Like, it started to acknowledge and even make fun of some of the criticism from the earlier seasons.
Oh, that's so interesting that self-awareness can be so important, especially for shows that rely on humor that might be seen as edgy or offensive. By acknowledging those flaws, this show kind of invites the audience to be in on the joke. And it sounds like that change in tone really worked for the reviewer.
It makes you wonder how many other shows we've been too quick to judge. Maybe there are some hidden gems out there just waiting for us to discover them if we're willing to give them another shot. Like what happened with this reviewer in The Big Bang Theory.
Exactly. And it comes back to that idea of being open to being surprised and challenging our assumptions. The reviewer's experience with both Wednesday and The Big Bang Theory, it reminds us that what we like and don't like can change. Our tastes evolve as we see and experience new things.
It's like our relationship with a show is a journey, just like any other relationship. Sometimes it takes time to find the good stuff, to see the depth, and to experience those unexpected moments of joy.
I really like that analogy.
You know, it's funny. It's like the reviewer's journey with Wednesday kind of mirrors Wednesday's own character arc in the show. They both start off resistant to like connecting with it, you know, clinging to those first impressions and ideas they had. But through these unexpected things that happen, they both start to open up and change.
Yeah, it's true. It's a really cool parallel. It shows how much we're drawn to stories that reflect our own experiences, even if we don't even realize it at the time.
I think so too. It's a good reminder that stories can connect with us on so many levels. You know, we might start watching just to be entertained, but the stories that really stay with us, they're the ones that make us think, make us feel, and maybe even challenge how we see things.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the reviewers' changing opinions on both Wednesday and The Big Bang Theory show us how important it is to give things a chance, to be open to being surprised. Sometimes those surprises can lead to something we really enjoy, and it can even help us see the world in new ways.
Absolutely. It reminds us that the world of movies and shows is full of surprises, just like the real world is. All we got to do is be curious and open to new things.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we've talked about adaptation and character development, even how our tastes can change over time. And we did it all by looking at one person's thoughts on YouTube.
And what we learned is that embracing the unexpected can be pretty awesome. Who knows what other great shows or movies are out there? Maybe we'll find our next favorite thing in a place we never thought to look.
I hope so. So yeah, keep exploring, keep challenging what you think you know. And the most important thing, keep an open mind. You never know what amazing things you'll find out there.